Chair, in as much as we want to have an all-inclusive sector in the coffee industry, please, I am a bit hesitant to go in the thinking of Honorable Geshimu, and I'll tell you why. The reason why we've been having a lot of mess in the coffee cooperative society is having people who are inept in running those coffee societies in terms of financial management, in terms of data collection, and all that requires the power of the pen. Education and skills and achievement in terms of running such kind of sector. That is why we are here we are. Yeah. Okay. Because we have pushed those people into levels where they cannot prove themselves. So if we start accommodating them in such sensitive boards, then we still find ourselves in the same problem. I'm sorry, I am pro-farmer. I argue for the farmer. But I am one of those that believe for us to be able to revamp coffee sector, we must put the right people in the right offices. Not every farmer can fit in a board to argue out issues of board, issues of financial management. In as much as we want to accommodate them, let us also be careful so that we don't introduce a problem that will become another problem.
I think it has nothing to do with education at all. It has something to do with honesty.
Integrity.
Some integrity. Someone is corrupt because they have a personality defect. It has nothing to do with their education. And if you look at the most successful cooperatives from the time of my grandfather, Keyo Cooperative House, they were not educated. It was well managed. They bought buildings. They invested. Today, their own grandchildren, great-grandchildren cannot do the same thing. Yes, and it was not because they were educated. So, and I think also, remember we already have structures. Because of devolution, we are in a better place. In every, I think most counties have been encouraged to have a cooperative officer in every ward. And I know that Elgeyo Marakwet County has done that. That's one of the counties you can say has done that. So if they have those cooperative officers, and then they also have the CEC cooperatives at the county, and then they also have the commissioner cooperatives for the county who reports to the Ministry of Cooperatives here in Nairobi, those are the ones who are supposed to be supervising and interrogating the books. And that's why I said the corruption is with the cooperative officers. The corruption is with the commissioners of cooperatives who are domiciled under the ministry. They are the ones who allow the books to be crooked. They are the ones who allow the wrong officials to hold office and so on. So it's not about the qualification. It's the guidelines what we shall give. And I know that immediately after this act passes and becomes an act of parliament, we'll be able to develop regulations and guidelines.
We are speaking about a member who is going to be part of Coffee Board of Kenya. What is the function of Coffee Board of Kenya? One of the functions of Coffee Board of Kenya is mandated to make sure that we qualify marketing activities, and therefore you need to be a person that understands grading of coffee, profiling of coffee, and all the technical understanding that is needed for you to be able to propagate and profile your coffee, whether in Kenya or outside Kenya. What kind of a person do you think can sit in that board and effectively represent the interest of farmers? We are not talking about the chairman of a cooperative society. We are speaking about a board member of a national body called Coffee Board of Kenya. So we need people who can be able to ably represent our quality coffee. Thank you very much. So I beseech everybody who is debating this matter to consider and reconsider that the people we are entrusting with Coffee Board of Kenya are not just jokers. They are people who understand what you're talking about. Okay. I still want to support the chairman's position.
Okay.
And allow me to speak politics now of coffee. Yes. If we leave this opportunity of nominating somebody into the Coffee Board of Kenya without any of those qualifications that we are asking for, we are just going to open up this position for any politician to be appointed. We are going to make it just any other appointment. And we'll have people who are coming from another sector being appointed politically into that position. So how do we make sure that we safeguard this position to people who have some experience in coffee management? And please remember, we are discussing Coffee Board of Kenya, a national body.
Chair, management can be defined as the process of getting the work done or tasks done that is required for achieving the goals of an organization in an efficient and effective manner. If you have been running your farm in a very efficient and effective manner, producing coffee progressively, like a farmer I know, who is producing 30 kilos from a tree, Chair, I think you have experience in management. So we don't want anybody who has a coffee farm to vie for a position in the Coffee Board of Kenya. We want somebody who has experience in managing coffee at one point at one of the segments of the value chain. So
all the way to the international markets.
Because there will be experts in the others, among the others who are appointed to the board. If we have somebody who is clear on production of coffee, that is somebody who has management experience in production of coffee. And that is why we are saying the two farmer representatives be captured as such.
Coffee is produced locally but heavily consumed internationally. The standards that we may set here may only favor domestic market. We may need to accommodate standards that are set to accommodate us in international markets. Issues of Europe gap and many other standards that are required internationally. And therefore, I support Honorable Oudo's amendment or proposed amendment.
Let us not limit. Why don't we have it generally to conform with standards without limiting to KEBS? Because someone would argue that my coffee cannot be able to be exported out of the country because the standards required out there in the EU, in the UK, in the US or wherever, even through AGOA, they have not been met because I've complied with the local standards and I feel that I'm pretty. So I think we should open it to international level, but instead of limiting it to the Kenyan standards.
The reason why we really were looking forward to this new coffee bill is so that we can run away from the many bureaucracies that are created during lawmaking like we are doing. Why should you force a farmer to go to Kenya Bureau of Standards and maybe the only licensing and standard needed is just a Q standard, for example, for specialized coffee? Why would you put it in the law that I have to go to Kenya Bureau of Standards and then I go to look for the other standard that is needed by my buyers? Those many bureaucracies we've been having for our farmers is what we are running away from. So we don't need KEBS here if really farmers don't need it. Why are we putting things to make farmers' processes of getting to sell their product become a bit more difficult? And by the way, this KEBS thing is also costly. Why are we adding costs? If really the only standard we need is for example, Q standard, let us just open the law so that Q standard can be the basic.